Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. Welcome, everybody. It is Friday Junior. Welcome, everybody. The Ponder Monkey, welcome. Michael Haster, Heat, how's it going? I might be late. Give me until 4:21. Yeah, that's okay. You're fine. No worries. Wolf Glen, how's it going? I like that emote. Welcome, welcome, folks. Folks, the usual disclaimer. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. We are on YouTube. Keep liking the stream, folks. I see you. Subscribe. Join the Discord, folks. Things are happening. That little goat is cute. I agree. Join the Discord, folks. If you want to support the channel, there are many different ways. Consider checking out the merch store. Lots of stuff happening in the next month. So stay tuned for that. Alright, folks. Ha. I like that. Alright, folks. We're on the clock. Let's go. Lots of stuff to go through. Think we should probably start here, right? The term "eat the rich" kind of comes to mind. That is all.
Does Elon Musk, the world's richest man, deserve $56 billion?
Ah, no. No. No.
The largest compensation package in history, $55.7 billion more than Google's CEO.
In recent years, billionaire has become a pejorative.
Like it's a bad thing. It is. Being a billionaire is literally a drag on society. It is literally negatively impacting society.
It's like that's a bad thing.
That's the question that's rocking the financial world right now.
A group of Tesla shareholders are trying to encourage others to vote against CEO Elon Musk's $56 billion pay package.
This is a great American story. He's rolling the dice. There's a great chance he gets nothing, but if he performs, he gets a huge payout, and we should have.
Yeah, the great American dream, where a trust fund baby essentially inherits a lot of wealth that he did not earn through through blood money. If we want to put it, if we want to be real, if we want to keep it 100, yeah, generational wealth is toxic to society. The real American dream, trying to get a less crappy apartment. Yeah, or just like a single family home. I mean, you know.
Applaud that.
$55 billion is such a large pay package that it basically skewed dramatically upward the entire data set for the compensation consulting industry.
I can't think of one other example where a company not just would give, a $56 billion pay package, but to a guy who was like a 1/3 time CEO and whose distractions are threatening to pull the company in bad directions.
That's New York City Comptroller Brad Lander. He's leading the fight along with other major shareholders to reject Musk's astronomical pay package at the automaker's annual shareholder meeting June 13th.
I mean, the pay package, to say it's stratospheric doesn't really represent a good understanding of the Earth's atmosphere. It's just off the charts.
But why is a city comptroller talking about a CEO's business decisions?
Yeah, can we just take 5 seconds? He's asking for $56 billion. $56 billion. Yeah, like a great philosopher once said, It's called the American Dream because you'd have to be awake to believe it or something like that. Sorry, what is it that I'm misquoting it? It's called the American Dream because you, yeah, you have to be asleep to believe it or something. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Doesn't Elon know what he's doing if he's the richest man in the world?
No,
and why does he
no.
have to listen to a bunch of pesky shareholders who have never run a multi-billion-dollar business? Well, let's take a look at how he's been running Tesla in the last few years. Since the start of this year, Tesla's stock has fallen more than 40%. Sales are plummeting, layoffs are rampant. In April, the company sent home over 14,000 employees, or 10% of its global workforce. The really cool looking Cybertruck has been marred by recalls, and the highly anticipated and affordable Model 2 was scrapped by Musk. And now it seems like he's not even sticking to the brand's mission of making electric vehicles. Instead, he's pouring his focus, in between epic tweets, or X's, pardon me, into launching an OpenAI competitor and robo-taxis, which are supposedly dropping on August 8th.
The market with EV.
A thing that's not happening, by the way. BPCL, welcome. Just publish the board member names every news cycle. I agree. The Cybertruck was so bad they had to call they had to call Arnold and do a total recall. Yeah, that was oof. Yikes.
He's just beginning. A little long-term.
Like, does it even like come to the description of a truck? Because, like, man, everything from top to bottom just I would be reluctant to call that a truck.
Research in the robo-taxis, in whatever else he's got in his imagination is fine. That's long-term R&D, but when that eats the whole attention of the company, that's not good.
Maybe he's not so interested in EVs as his alliance with Trump grows.
We'll
Now
talk
they wanna
about
go
that.
To an EV, everybody has to have an electric car. Isn't that wonderful? They don't
Isn't
go.
that wonderful? Get y'all to Mars. Yeah, grab all the billionaires who are willing to pay, and just take a one-way expedition. I saw one of those Cybertrucks in the wild. It looks horrendous. Yeah, it does. It does. I've seen one too. Seen a few. Boulder County, all rich and dumb. Sheesh.
So far. By the
They
way,
don't
that
go
ends on
far.
the first day.
Maybe he's distracting shareholders by presenting new shiny ideas that will save them all. Whatever the case, it's all hurt Tesla's reputation.
Elon Musk is alienating the core customer base of Tesla. And maybe that's why he's trying to imagine Tesla as a different business. But that just doesn't make sense. Like, what the board of Tesla should say is, okay, either you can be the CEO of Tesla, put your focus and energy here, stop with the distractions that are driving our buyers away, grow the company, or we should get somebody else who will do that.
I mean, the guy is literally the CEO of 3 companies. How can any one of those be thriving?
Very rarely is a CEO running 3 companies and also seemingly like spending most of his time on Twitter ranting. But that is what Elon Musk is doing. I mean, he's the CEO of Tesla, he's the CEO of SpaceX, he's the CEO of X, and clearly he spends a lot of time on X ranting politically.
Lander is also leading the opposition on that egregious pay package because, as the NYC comptroller, he manages retirement funds, and your retirement is actually what is funding Musk's record compensation package.
The New York City pension funds own quite a lot of Tesla stock, over $600 million in Tesla stock we own.
If Musk is handed $56 billion by Tesla's board, it's estimated that everyone's Tesla shares will dilute by nearly 9%. To put that in perspective, other big companies usually see their shares value decrease by only 1% when new shares are doled out as part of pay packages. And it's not just the suit-smoking fat cigars who will feel this. It's working people like you.
There are titans of industry and very wealthy people who own a lot of stock, but a whole lot of stock is owned by working people through their pension fund.
This dilution wouldn't just squeeze people like teachers, firefighters, school crossing guards, and nurses. It would also increase Musk's control over the company, boosting his ownership stake from 12.9% to 22.4%. And how we got here in the first place is just as head-scratching as Musk's giant pay package for part-time work. See, this $56 billion number you keep hearing was decided on back in 2018. Back around the time A Star is Born hit theaters, Tesla's board of directors were birthing something of their own, the biggest pay package in the history of the corporate world. The board approved a massive $56 billion payout for their CEO, Elon Musk. But a few shareholders thought it was excessive and that the board wasn't acting independently. So some shareholders sued, and a Delaware judge agreed with them and rescinded the pay package.
I've never seen anything quite like it, where the court says, a judge says, we looked at what's required for a board to act independently, and they didn't do it. Now, lots of boards are way too close to their CEO. That's not uncommon, but still it is uncommon for it to be so blatant a violation of independent shareholder governance that the court would rule against it.
The Delaware judge rejected the pay package because it was developed by Musk himself rather than an independent compensation.
Yeah, you know things are pretty bad when like a court in Delaware is like, nah, bro. You know things are really bad when a court in Delaware is telling you like, nah, that's a bit too much. Nice shirt, thank you.
Committee. He was just like, yeah, $56 billion would be cool. Company shareholders were not properly informed about that when they were asked to vote, which is no surprise considering some of Tesla's board members are actually family members and, if you can believe it, even friends of Musk.
Kimball Musk is Elon's brother when I say a family-owned company. This is a family-owned company. And James Murdoch, son of Rupert, but also like best buds with Elon Musk. So this is like a bro board of literal family and chums. And like they could go for like an AI fishing weekend or whatever, but the board is supposed to be independent board members, and James Murdoch and Kimball Musk ain't that.
So with friends and family on the board of Tesla, they're pushing forward with the pay package anyway, despite what that Delaware judge ruled. Tesla's shareholders meeting is poised for June 13th, and they'll be voting on a few things here. Tesla's proposal to move incorporation from Delaware to Texas so they can dodge the Delaware court, the re-election of two board members, Kimball Musk and James Murdoch, and of course, Elon's enormous pay package.
Tells you everything you need to effing know. Yep, it is gross. Spread it forward, welcome. Good to see you indeed.
Luckily, Brad Lander isn't the only shareholder voting no on these fronts.
It is kind of a polarized world, and there's no doubt he has his defenders, but most people who take the point of view of what's good for broad corporate governance know this stinks.
In addition to proxy advisor Glass Lewis urging shareholders to vote no, CalPERS, who is among the top 30 investors of Tesla, is also planning to vote against the pay package proposal.
The team is evaluating it, but as of today, minus the conversation that is yet to happen with Tesla, we would not be voting in favor of that proposal.
ISS, one of the biggest advisory firms, has also joined the opposition. If Musk's pay package goes through, along with Tesla's move to Texas and the re-election of two controversial board members, it could fundamentally undermine the integrity of corporate governance. Allowing this to continue unchecked prioritizes the interests of powerful CEOs and their close associates over those of middle-class workers and the general public, ultimately
yeah, just exactly like capitalism intended.
Hurting the economy and setting a dangerous precedent for CEO pay.
But if things get broken in the way that this case suggests, there really is a risk the whole thing could kind of erode, and the provisions that make it possible for investors to invest in companies that will grow in ways that pay good returns for pensioners and create good jobs for workers and respect their freedom of association and build a middle...
Yeah, none of that really matters. Yeah. None of these people care about any of that.
Out flourishing U.S. economy gets eroded by wanton billionaires, and there's risk that that's what will happen more and more. if he's allowed to win here.
It's just capitalism. Capitalism gonna capitalism. I'm doing all right. Thank you. I appreciate you hanging out.
This is a time to choose a side. If Bernie Sanders wants to side with the terrorists, this is a time.
Have you heard about the Atlanta water crisis? I haven't seen any mainstream coverage. I haven't seen much. I think the last thing that I was looking at was there was a couple of mains, water mains that broke, and it caused a lot of havoc for thousands of people. Although I think by now most of it has been resolved, I think. But it was pretty bad. Atlanta residents are hours away of having access to water again after 5 days due to the main water breaks that left thousands under a boil water advisory. According to the city on Tuesday, which is a couple of days ago, the estimated timeline for the water system to return to normal is between 7 to 11 a.m. on Wednesday. So it's probably fixed by now. But yeah. Rehoboth's Rangers, haven't seen you here for a while. Well, welcome back.
Time to choose a side. If Bernie Sanders wants to side with the terrorists, that's so be it. And if other Democrats want to do that, it's on them. But I'm telling you, I pray and hope and expect that most of the members of the House of both parties and the Senate will join us for this historic address.
I suppose it is historic. I mean, how many times have we hosted a war criminal, a foreign war criminal that's currently potentially being investigated?
You just heard House Speaker Mike Johnson accuse Bernie Sanders of siding with terrorists because he's going to boycott Benjamin Netanyahu's upcoming speech to a joint session of Congress, which is really ironic when you think about it, because this self-proclaimed pro-life Christian, he's the one who's siding with the war criminal bombing babies in Gaza. But that's not terrorism, apparently. Bombing churches and mosques, hospitals, refugee camps,
universities. Universities that killed 30 people, 23 of which were women and children.
Universities and schools. That's not terrorism. In fact, if you don't support those war crimes, you're the one who's somehow a terrorist. It's very Orwellian logic, isn't it? Now, to be clear, Mike Johnson is not alone. Netanyahu was invited to Congress by Mitch McConnell, as well as Democratic leadership, which includes Hakeem Jeffries, of course, and even Chuck Schumer, who just called for new elections in Israel in March and called Netanyahu an obstacle to peace. And Netanyahu proved Schumer right by rejecting multiple ceasefires,
including the latest one, including Biden's own outline that supposedly was going to give the path to a ceasefire. Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening, and it wasn't because of Hamas.
deals and admitting that they won't end the bloodshed even if they get a deal freeing the hostages. But how does Schumer respond? By inviting that obstacle to peace to Congress to speak. Amazing. But if you're wondering why Chuck Schumer would contradict himself just a couple of months later, well, it's because he's been bought off by groups like AIPAC. And if you're curious as to how much money he and Hakeem Jeffries took from them, well, enough to subject themselves to this.
We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel.
Jesus Christ.
We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel.
I know you're probably thinking how culty it looks for our leaders to be pledging fealty to a foreign government doing a genocide with some weird-ass chant, but I promise you, this isn't a cult. They just want the gravy train to keep rolling in. It's as simple as that. They would literally let Netanyahu piss in their mouths if AIPAC told them.
What was the original post about? Oh, okay. It's reported that Hamas declined Biden's offer for a ceasefire. They said the real deal is not the same as he represented. Nope, it was actually the Israeli government. Something I've noticed over the last couple of days, Reddit/news posts about Israel conflict are heavily censored and botted. Just today I commented on a post that was 10 minutes old and was locked by the time I tried to reply. Yeah. That's what I saw in the media today. I think there might be a war with Lebanon soon. Things are hitting up over there. Yeah, so Hamas followed Israel in rejecting the ceasefire, but it was initially rejected by Israel because they are not willing to commit to a permanent ceasefire. Yeah, Hezbollah is starting fires on the north side from what I've seen. Yeah, that's been happening though. Yeah, that's good. I don't know, Michael Hassler. That looked like a freaking bot to me. That looked like copy pasta. That looked like copy pasta.
Them to let him do it. That's
the question is, was the deal containing a permanent ceasefire in the first place in the Biden? Yeah, that's why Israel rejected it. Israel does not want to commit to a permanent ceasefire.
how beholden they are to these lobbying groups. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries have taken more than $1 million in money from the Israel lobby, and Mike Johnson and Joni Ernst, who you also saw there, have taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Israel lobby. So, of course, they're going to sing the praises of a foreign government who's bankrolling them, because that's what politicians in America do. But all of this AIPAC money doesn't just buy complicity with Israel's genocide, it also buys Israel cover as well. And I say this because the House just voted to sanction the International Criminal Court over their pursuit of arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. And this includes all 205 Republicans who voted and 42 Democrats who joined them, which includes the likes of indicted corrupt Congressman Henry Cuellar, who Pelosi, by the way, endorsed over his progressive challenger in 2022. There's also Ruben Gallego.
Yeah. Cuellar, who's currently in some hot water. Yeah. Globus the Elder. Welcome. Dragon, they're a goofy who has been running around. Really? They look like... I'm sorry, but that looked like a freaking bot to me. That looked like a freaking just like copy pasta bot. That just kind of... Well, maybe... I don't even know. Like... Can you make an account that just automatically like sends a certain message that you program it to? F. Pelosi, I agree.
Who is running for the Senate to replace Kyrsten Sinema in Arizona and has been trying to convince all of us that he'd be better than her, but I'd say this is a pretty big red flag if you ask me. Of course, there's Jared Moskowitz, who calls out Republicans fairly regularly who he thinks are doing the bidding of Russia, but here he is doing the bidding of Israel like a good little stooge. There's also Richie Torres, who is supposed to be representing the poorest district in the country, but is instead spending most of his time defending Israel's war crimes and blocking anyone on Twitter who calls him out for his traitorous behavior. And of course, there's Alyssa Slotkin, who is the Senate candidate for Democrats in the state of Michigan.
I went after Cuellar. He's correctly criticizing Gallego for supporting Israel. The first post was asking about the title of your channel, so it wasn't copy pasta. Yeah, that second and third message was kind of weird. We live in the time of AI. Yeah, I suppose, but I don't know. Maybe it was a real person. I don't know. It just sounded very, very weird. It sounded like, like those kind of... Maybe it was like a normal, like, regular human chatter that just kind of, like, has these, like, random things. Because, like, I know that there's a lot of... there have been, like, users that just come in and, like, put, like, blocks of, like, the most random text that have nothing to do with anything. And they just keep going, but they're a real person. So, I don't know.
Very smart politics there, Alyssa.
No. There's something, Eternized Dragon. I see people like that on the Majority Report ever so often that just like make these huge blocks of text. It happens.
And unsurprisingly, there's Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who's an actual demon, so there's really no surprise. But she is being primaried right now by Jen Perlman, so if you live in that district, vote for Jen, who doesn't support genocide, unlike Debbie. There's more, but you get the point. Our government wants to destroy international law, all at the behest of one foreign government that happens to be doing a genocide and is also funding their campaigns. Odds are some of those same Democrats who voted to sanction the ICC also applauded the ICC when they took action against Russia. But now that the ICC is pursuing a government that they're being funded by, well, they've changed their tune. And to be clear, these lawmakers aren't just bought off by the Israel lobby. They're bought off by other special interests too, like most politicians. For example, Trump vetoed a bipartisan bill that would have ended U.S. complicity with Saudi Arabia's genocide in Yemen. Why? Well, because Saudi lobbying and investments that he had in Saudi Arabia. In other words, they buttered him up real good and he did their bidding. But the problem is so much bigger than just foreign influence, right? That is a problem, but politicians have also been bought off by other industries, the healthcare industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and virtually every industry in existence. I mean, we call Debbie Wasserman Schultz debt trap Debbie since she's beholden to predatory payday lenders that take advantage of poor people. I mean, this is just how our government works since the Supreme Court effectively legalized bribery. But apparently, American politicians aren't satisfied just supporting genocide and defending Netanyahu from accountability for doing said genocide, because they now want him to address our Congress so they can fangirl over him in person, I guess. I mean, there aren't enough words to describe how loathsome these politicians are. They are truly some of the most spineless and vile cretins humanity has ever produced. But thankfully, there are some politicians who are willing to call this out. Of course, it's the usual suspects. Bernie Sanders is one of them, and he was accused of siding with terrorists for not supporting Netanyahu's terrorism, as you saw. Now, Mike Johnson repeated that same sentiment in an interview that he did on Fox News, but this is how Bernie Sanders decided to respond when he addressed that slander on the Senate floor.
Netanyahu and his extremist government have killed more than 36,000 Palestinians and wounded over 82,000. That is 5% of the population of Gaza. Netanyahu's war machine has driven 1.7 million people from their homes, 75% of the population of Gaza. Netanyahu's government has damaged or destroyed over 60% of the housing in Gaza, leaving more than 1 million people permanently homeless. Mr. Netanyahu and his government have annihilated Gaza's health care system. And I have talked to doctors, American doctors who have been there, who talk about the systematic destruction of their healthcare system. 26 hospitals have been knocked out of service.
So gross. That's so gross. Plan A for this genocide was to give Gaza to Saudi Arabia, but that got shut down, so they went with Plan B, which was just indefinite genocide.
And more than 400 healthcare workers have been killed. Every single one of these 12 universities has been bombed, as have 50.
Including one yesterday, which again, 30 people died. 23 of them were women and children. 23 were women and children. Out of the 30 people that died yesterday, or not, I'm pretty sure it was very recent. Yesterday is the last information I have. Yes, water, electricity.
6 schools. His government, according to virtually every humanitarian organization functioning in Gaza, has intentionally blocked humanitarian aid. That is food, water, medical supplies, from reaching the desperate people of Gaza, which has created, on top of everything else, the conditions for starvation and famine. You know, Mr. President, we, as we all know, are in campaign season. And I would say to Speaker Johnson that when you attend your fundraising dinners with your billionaire friends, and you eat your fine steaks and your lobsters and your other wonderful food, please remember these pictures from Gaza. These children and thousands more are the direct result of Netanyahu's policies. Netanyahu, the man Speaker Johnson has invited to address Congress. No, Mr. President, I will not be in attendance for that speech.
Yeah, great speech. And there's a lot more there, but I had to.
It is precedent for for genocide. That's why the International Court is taking this seriously. The fact that they are actually trying to apply or applied for an arrest warrant for these people is indicative that there's enough to go on. I mean, we can all see. We can all see. We've all seen we've all seen the images on social media. Yeah, that's right. Rules of 3. Shelter 3 months, food 3 weeks, water 3 days, air 3 minutes. 3 minutes, I think.
To cut it so that way you can kind of get the crux of it. I'll link to it down below. Now, as you saw, I had to blur the images that were showed of children that were literally starved to death because YouTube has been age restricting videos showing those images. But I mean, if those images are too gruesome for YouTube, a large corporation, why is it not too gruesome for American lawmakers? Why hasn't those same images gotten them to take action and say, enough is enough?
Because they don't care. Them Palestinians are living on borrowed time at this point. It's horrible. Yes. Yes, they are literally... That's exactly correct. They are literally living on borrowed time. There's not enough humanitarian... there's not enough humanitarian aid coming in. And I believe the UN and several organizations that are there, it's not a matter of it could happen. It's a matter of it is happening. Famine is imminent. Well, MTG showed nudes, but that's another scenario of illegal. I mean, he's right in that killing every Palestinian wouldn't end Hamas, who are headquartered in other countries, but it would be hard for them to keep killing with everyone dead. Everyone should be sickened. That is the normal response when you see this. Can't they just arrest the rocket guys instead? You know, if it was really about Hamas, the actions would be completely different. But this is not about Hamas. So, to answer your question, it's not. Their intent is to kill as many people as possible until enough of the world or the United States decides that the amount of dead people is enough.
You can't continue to support this. They don't care at all. They're perfectly fine with it. In fact, if you criticize Israel for starving those babies to death, you're apparently siding with terrorists. But they obviously have it backwards. If you support and defend the war criminal who did that to those children, you are the one supporting terrorism. Now, in an interview with Chris Hayes, Bernie Sanders addressed Mike Johnson's comments again, this time more directly, and here's what he had to say.
What do you say to being accused of siding with the terrorists if you do not join?
I mean, it is a disgusting lie. He said it yesterday. He said it again today. And I guess, you know, if you are part of the MAGA group, right-wing Republicans, big lies are what you do. You just say lies over and over again, and you hope people believe them.
Not even. It's just like you just need your people. You just need your cult members to believe it. Just to be clear, like you don't need the rest of the American people because like everybody can see that that's nonsense, right? Like this doesn't make any sense. It's disgusting.
As I have said from literally day one of this terrible war, what Hamas did is atrocious. Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, is a war criminal. He should be in jail. And Israel had every right in the world to defend itself against Hamas. But what Johnson is doing is what right-wing people always do. Back in the day, if you stood up for civil rights or social justice, they called you a communist. If you are prepared to take on Netanyahu's outrageous war against the Palestinian people, I suppose now they claim that you're sympathetic to terrorism. It is a lie, and I really am not happy with what he is saying.
And let's be real, we all know that Mike Johnson would call Bernie Sanders anti-Semitic because that's been the go-to smear for anyone who dares to criticize Israel. But You can't really do that when the person criticizing Israel is a Jewish man who has family that literally died in the Holocaust. I mean, that still hasn't stopped other Zionists from accusing Bernie Sanders of being a self-hating Jew, but that's not really a can of worms that Mike Johnson, of all people, wants to open up, considering his evangelical beliefs that are deeply anti-Semitic if you look into it. But like it or not, Netanyahu is going to be addressing a joint session of Congress, which is despicable. But the question now becomes, how should lawmakers respond? And the obvious thing would be to boycott it. That's what Bernie Sanders is doing. And as Axios reports, a large boycott is expected, along with disruptions outside of the event. But as Mark Pocan put it, quote, boycotting means smiling GOP staff faces will take our seats. I think we need to see how to best highlight the real Netanyahu than just not showing up to begin with. In other words, he's saying that maybe showing up and making a statement could actually be more effective than not showing up. And I think this is actually really interesting. If enough Democrats actually coordinate some kind of a campaign and wear shirts with a message and bring signs and take turns shouting him down to the point where he's not able to get a single fucking word out, that could make a bigger statement than just...
Yeah, I mean, like, if Democratic lawmakers are actually prepared to do something like that, yeah. But nah, none of these people. There's very few. You could probably count the number of people who would be willing to do that on like one hand, if that. If that. Right, the Democrats want him to speak.
It's not showing up. And if you think that they won't be allowed to shout down Netanyahu, remember that at State of the Unions every single year, the President of the United States is shouted down. It happened just this last time. So, of course, American lawmakers will be able to shout down some foreign war criminal in their own fucking Congress. The matter of will they do it or not is what we have to discuss, and how they do it, I think, is important. They do need to deliberate and actually coordinate a plan, something to make it effective. Otherwise, if you just have a couple of people yelling here and there, they're not going to get the message across. And if they're going to just sit there in silence with an angry face, you might as well just not show up because...
Yeah, I agree with this. If I was a Democratic congressman, I would be calling the Interpol and saying he's going to be here. Well, to be fair, it's not like Interpol wouldn't know, right? Like, he's literally scheduled to speak there. It's just that whether or not that they would be allowed to do their thing, whether or not they would be allowed to arrest them. Whenever I hear MAGA, it has just started making me imagine cartoon seagulls from one Pixar movie with the red hats repeating one word of their orange cult messiah, since they can't remember more than one word at a time. Right, nothing's gonna happen to him at the Capitol. John Elmer had some crazy footage in the corridor. I have no idea who that is. They would have to work out logistics because American law enforcement won't cooperate with them. Yeah, exactly.
That's a tacit endorsement of his presence there in the first place. But if you're going to be there, make it count. Be loud and shout down this murderous monster until your voice gives out. And do not stop shouting. That, I think, really could make a difference. The question is, will they do that? And will enough of them do that to make it matter? We'll have to wait and see.
Nope. Like, I can literally count the number of people who would actually do that, probably with less than one hand. All right. Stop it. No, stop it.
You know, I'm not sure how it's going to go, but if they play their cards right, I think that the anti-genocide Democrats like Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush have a chance to make a really powerful statement to the world. So I do hope that they come up with something. But I mean, if they just want to boycott it,
Copy pasta? I don't know. It might be. I'm just confused. I'm still, it's got to be a bot. I'm still on the fence. It could be genuinely just like a person that does this, like long paragraph of random meandering stuff. I don't know. But I can't. No, I can't. What did he write? Unfortunately, he wrote the key to the universe. So yeah, unfortunately, I just deleted the key to the universe. Sorry. I saw an antimicrobial there. See if I can actually pull it up. I didn't bother to read it. Oh, okay. Any near future microbial contamination of planets at most will lead to an abysmal version and likely negative for oscillations, namely quintillions at can we Yeah, it was definitely not germane to this at all. Like this had not it worked this is just random stuff. Random stuff. What? I'm still trying to process it. Yeah, word Caesar salad. Like, I'm telling you, I think it might be some kind of bot, or if it is a person, they just have like a set copy pasta. Put it on screen, I can't. I can't. Because it's only on my restream chat that it still lives. It doesn't live on the Twitch side anymore, so I can just kind of see it. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah. No, I can't. OBS doesn't let me share like OBS doesn't let me share windows specifically inside OBS. Like I can share windows on my computer, like if I wanted to share my Spotify or if I wanted to share my other Chrome windows, I can do that, but yeah, unfortunately no, it's okay. It was a bunch of nonsense. It's okay. It was just a bunch of nonsense. It's 42. That's the answer of the universe. Somebody else said 42. Who said 42 as well? I feel like that's a reference to something. I feel like that's a reference to something. Ah, gotcha. Hitchhiker's Guide. Gotcha. It took 3 paragraphs to answer 42. I feel like someone wrote some kind of Manic Screed and really wanted to get it out there and wrote a bot to distribute it. Maybe, because like it almost sounded, it almost sounded like it was a person. Maybe it is just a person creating random accounts and then having that copy pasta ready and going into random politics, because they were banned in other politic chats too. So I don't know. I don't know. Anyways.
Respect that as well, because I think that whatever they do, they have to do something to make a statement, because Benjamin Netanyahu deserves the utmost disrespect and he should be arrested the moment he sets foot on US soil. But instead, politicians are going to line up to fillet him and tell him how good his genocide is. And that is just so nauseating to me, right? If he's going to address Congress, though, the few members of Congress who actually oppose his genocide should make him regret that decision.
Exactly. If they are going to show up, they should protest. Otherwise, they should boycott it. I agree. Yeah, we were gifted a sci-fi novel. That's exactly what happened. I'm not reading all that. I'm not doing all that.
Dave Rubin and Russell Brand. Now, Russell Brand he's
in Rubin's studio here. We get the tail end of a coffee.
Oh, wow.
Lunch,
now he's full on wearing the cross on the outside now after his baptism. Is that right?
Yep. That's right, folks. We haven't checked in with our good friend Russell Brand in quite a while. But that's right. He's a Christian now, folks.
All right.
Yeah, you want to get it out there when you're selling coffee. Maybe you should. Maybe.
Wait, has he got a coffee?
Is he selling Jesus coffee? Is that what he's doing? Is he selling Jesus coffee?
brand too?
1775 coffee.
Wait, why is he doing 1775 coffee?
I was why
isn't he doing like Russell Brand's brand?
Because also 775 was when America and Britain were still under the king.
I don't understand. What's that year?
Amazing.
Is there's got to be some.
We'll have to look into that.
There's got to be some numerology associated with this.
No. Everybody votes November 5th. If you're talking about the general election, everyone votes like the presidential election is November 5th. Everybody does their thing.
1776 is their thing, I thought. What's 1775?
I'm not sure.
Take it back to the monarch.
All right, let's go.
No, you can go back to this. They come out of this ad, and then him and Dave.
Well, so let's watch a little bit of the ad.
Yeah.
Use the code BRAND to save 10% on your first order. Oh, come on. Why choose, you know? Okay, back to the content.
Oh, pause it for 1 second. We pull up the tweet where Glenn Greenwald's making fun of him.
It's always the Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Gotcha. Why not hold a mandatory summit at a country under the lockup mandate for the heads of genocide, and they don't show up, they can vote in things in the multinational boards.
For selling that coffee. Oh, sorry, we don't have it?
Oh,
it doesn't exist? Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Put it this way, when I was in California at the end, before I moved, and it was the height of COVID and the lockdowns, and I was having illegal parties at my house, and I had to have one of my guys.
Oh no, illegal parties, because apparently at the height of the pandemic, you couldn't be bothered to just like chill out and stay home for a little bit. Yeah. Thanks.
That works for me. I wanted to go to dinner one night. We usually had people come to our house, but one night right before we left, I wanted to actually go to basically the only restaurant that I liked in LA before we left. It was Boa's Steakhouse on Sunset. You were probably there back in your day. Do you remember Boa's Steakhouse by chance?
Yeah.
It was
this guy peeves me off. He should.
The right amount of Hollywood kind of glittery, but not too awful. And it was the kind of cool vibe there. And I hadn't been in a couple of years because of COVID. And I was like, let's just go. It was the day before.
Cognizant, yes. Russell Brand. Look, we haven't checked in with our friend Russell Brand in quite a while, okay? And now he's exchanging high-level ideas with Dave Rubin. Just seriously, a melding of two intellectual giants is happening, okay? A melding of two intellectual titans is happening right before our eyes, okay? So let's just try to absorb these high level ideas and try, and hopefully maybe by tomorrow or over the weekend we can recover from these high level ideas.
Before we were leaving, when we were officially leaving. And I had to have one of my guys make a fake vaccine passport for me. And then I'm sitting at the restaurant and the
Wait, hey, quick question. Isn't falsifying a document like that not legal? Isn't falsifying something like a vaccine record not cool, not legal? Well, I'm Listen, you have the entire weekend to recover from these high-level ideas, okay? Like falsifying vaccine records.
Vibe was dead, and they didn't let people sit at the bar anymore, and people had, the waiters had masks, but you didn't have to have the mask, all that bullshit. And I realized that there were a couple tables of people looking at me and pointing at me. And then I realized it wasn't, well, they knew who I was, but that's not like, oh my God, it was Dave Rubin like that. It was, Dave Rubin's not vaxxed. What's he doing here? Like, in essence, that they thought I was...
I bet he's vaxxed. Oh. I have 2 more work days. Oh, I'm sorry.
Lying, because I was in there with the passport. So I had to go up. I went up to literally 3 groups of people to be like, guys, don't worry about it. It was a fake vaccine passport.
Wow. Don't worry, guys. I'm not actually vaxxed. Okay? Falsified documents. I would wager the same, Globus. Gotta suspect the right-wing podcast would give individual accused of SA a microphone to spread their fecal matter.
For it. And I was like, what level of insanity is this? Think about
Pause it. I'll explain to you what level of insanity it is.
No need to worry. I'm circumventing public health measures. Everything's good. Oh, man. He's such a liar. He is. He's not even a good liar, you know?
This is, in fact, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. So I can't tell you, except for within a vernacular, as to what level of insanity is. But one of the things that, I think people who have personality disorders or emotional problems is they project things onto other people. And I'm going to assume that Dave, who I think might be a pathological liar, is actually telling the truth here. That there were 3 tables of people at this restaurant who were looking at Dave.
In LA, where there's a lot of famous people that you see around a nice restaurant.
Dave Rubin's here.
Yeah. Yeah, no need to worry. I'm circumventing public health measures. I'm part of the reason millions have died. Also, I don't even know if I believe that. I think he probably is vaxxed.
Okay.
But just pretending to be.
I don't want to pass out. I don't want to hyperventilate. But understand that if you could get into this restaurant only if you're vaccinated, they're not thinking, hey, I thought Dave Rubin was that cool guy who didn't get vaccinated, and I hope he comes over and tells us that, in fact, we're not mistaken, that he is that cool guy.
Don't worry.
If anything, if there were really 3 tables of people who were looking at Dave Rubin, it's because, hey, wait a second, that guy's unvaxxed. I don't want to be around him because he's not vaccinated. No. Because they're all vaccinated.
No.
Right, assuming they even assuming they even knew. It's assuming this entire thing is true. So, yeah. It's always hard to tell with Rubin. He's both incredibly disingenuous and very stupid. True. Well, the party thing still is reasoning to the deaths, and he would have a real vax card, so he wouldn't need a fake one. No, I'm arguing that the whole story is fake. That he is vaxxed, and he's just making this up. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe the simulacra is right. It's hard to tell.
I've done a little bit of research now into this Boa Steakhouse. And there's this article in the Daily Dot. Boa Steakhouse slammed for allowing influencers to dine indoors. The West Hollywood Steakhouse has been slammed for allowing influencers. That's just the same subhead. But Jake Paul and apparently some associates of him were seen at Boa after being diagnosed with COVID. And some of the staff told somebody that, actually, we're going to reassess our policies.
So there may have been people there who were like, I don't want to be in this room with this guy who's unvaccinated, not, hey, man, I hope you faked it to get in here.
Or it was actually a restaurant that was putting their staff in danger by catering to influencers during the pandemic, which
right, which I suppose that's also could be. It's just man, it's really difficult to believe anything coming out of Dave Rubin's mouth.
Yes, well, there was that restaurant that Sarah Palin got caught out on the Upper East Side that was basically notorious for that, and she had just been diagnosed. She had just gotten COVID, but
why does he assume that in a room full of supposedly vaccinated people, they're worried that he might be vaccinated?
The only way is...
Yeah, and also, if it's true that this restaurant was known to have very lax rules, why would you need to go through the trouble of faking a vax card in the first place? If you knew that this restaurant was one of the restaurants where they were catering to influencers who may or may not be circumventing these public health measures at the time, why would you even need to add that to the story, right? You would just show up. You wouldn't need to... Okay.
as if they're famous influencers who are also COVID denialists. Like
No.
he is, which is
The
possible.
only way, I'm sorry, the simplest explanation is that Dave got vaccinated and he had a vaccine card and he's so self-conscious about potentially having maybe someone took a photo of him and it would be like, oh, Dave actually got the jab.
Yeah, I mean, that's also a possibility that they were actually, it was during the time where they revised their policies because people started calling them out on it. And it's just that Dave Rubin is vaccinated. And that's the end of the story. And he has to make up this entire cover story so that his audience doesn't go against him. Yeah, maybe where the litter box in classrooms rumors started.
That he's going out of his way to tell this story to Russell Brand.
It's possible.
Because that makes way more sense than
Let's
okay, no.
Let's just be clear that somewhere in this story or in the act of telling it is a lie. We just don't know.
So he's lying at some point.
I want to underline the lie of making a fake vaccine card. That is a criminal offense, and I think
Is it?
charged.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I just got my new bar fridge. I haven't had any refrigeration for 5 weeks. Got sick twice from no refrigeration and got sick of getting sick. Jesus. Well, I'm glad you got it solved.
As such, it's up to 6 months. A woman got charged for it, and I think boasting about it, I think it's disgusting. We don't have a country anymore if you're allowed to just make up fraudulent documents in a pandemic.
But that's why I'm saying the simplest explanation is Dave is not a true believer. This is it. He's not a true believer. He wouldn't do, he cares way more. Like his whole political career was about getting to a point where he had the money to do whatever he wanted and live a glamorous lifestyle and go to a steakhouse like that. And so he wants to be able to go out to dinner. He wants to have a fancy party. He got vaxxed, so he's trying to cover it up on the back end.
I think
that also is quite possible. Because like otherwise, hey, you know what? Maybe they should pay him a visit to make sure that actual crime didn't happen. Because like that's literal video and audio evidence of him like committing fraud, right? Patch not solved. Property manager needs to replace my fridge still. Sheesh. We had a half-broken fridge in an apartment once, but we were moving in a matter of weeks, so we toughed it out for about as long. No sickness. Sheesh. Thanks Zeus indeed.
Either way, when Dorsey cuts this, we should have a poll because it's one of the three answers.
It's fine. Say it in the comments below. That's what all the YouTubers say. And then,
and just drop in the comments below how you think Dave Rubin is lying. But
I have to add this. Another piece of evidence for my argument. If these people were so upset about this unvaccinated guy that they all knew and were staring at, and he came up to them and said, "I'm actually lying. I'm not vaccinated. This is a fake vaccine card." Do you think that those concerned citizens might say something to the maitre d'? Do you think that they might say something to the actual restaurant?
But that's my point, is that he's saying that they actually were relieved that he was unvaccinated.
Exactly, that's why.
That's what I'm saying.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's my whole point. Is that you're telling a whole room full of people who are ostensibly...
Oh my god. This dude. He's either lying or confessing. Yeah. Like, come on, man. This is just so absurd. Dave Rubin is freaking vaxxed, man. I'll put money on that. I'll put $5 freaking dollars. That hard cash. Okay, $5 freaking dollars that Dave Rubin is vaxxed, okay?
vaccinated, don't worry. I'm actually faking it. I'm not really vaccinated.
Right.
We're seeing behind the curtain of how actually it wasn't like Nazi Germany, these COVID restrictions. Actually, all these rich people got to go dine out, got to have their parties. I think that's what we're actually, and I think a lot of them did have fraudulent vaccine cards, and I think it should be investigated.
I had to have one of my guys make a fake vaccine passport for me. And then I'm sitting at the restaurant and
so like, wait a minute. So you have a person who's making these fake documents. That's pretty freaking serious, man. That's pretty freaking serious. I saw a story of somebody who went to jail for a significant amount of time because they were falsifying documents in mass, right? And if he knows a guy who made him his fake vaccine card, if that's true, man, there definitely should be an investigation there, because I guarantee you, if that part is true, you know, we have to take everything that Dave Rubin says with a grain of salt. If that singular part of the story is true, then I guarantee you that that person who's making fake vaccine cards is just not that's not the only fake documents that they're doing. $34 counts. It seems like anybody with a computer could make a vax card. True, and you have to have the right cutout and cardboard, like the right, because like if you have I haven't seen mine in a while, but my vaccine card it was pretty thick. It wasn't like normal paper, so you have to have the right size and card stock. There you go. That's it. So you have to have the card stock and the right size and the printer. And if that person exists, they're cursing Grumman for publicly admitting to a crime. Or access to a Hobby Lobby. Yeah, exactly. Seriously. And not just publicly admitting to a crime, but like putting a big target, right? Because if he's saying, I got a dude, again, I would put another $5 on the board. Okay, so now we're up to 10. I would put another $5 on the board that person, if that person exists, assuming they exist. So that's the precursor to all of this. If that person does exist, I guarantee you that they're not just printing out fake vaccine cards. They're doing other stuff, and that's serious. Like I said, I saw a story. A person went to jail for a very long time for doing like mass fraud.
The vibe was dead, and they didn't let people sit at the bar anymore, and people had, the waiters had masks, but you didn't have to have a mask, all that bullshit. And I realized that there were a couple
all
of
that
tables
bullshit
of people
protecting the waiters,
pointing at me. And then I realized it wasn't, well, they knew who I was, but that's not like, oh my God, it was Dave Rubin like that. It was, Dave Rubin's not vaxxed. What's he doing here? Like, in essence, that they thought I was lying because I was in there with the passport. So I had to go up. I went up to literally 3 groups of people to be like, guys, don't worry.
How did he know that they were thinking that? This is such BS. How did they, like, what? This is such a fantastical, yeah, psychic power. It's entertaining. Yeah, psychic powers. It's entertaining, but also infuriating. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm trying. I'm using this as a way to laugh at this guy, as everyone should, because this is so absurd. Like, how did he know that that's what these people were thinking? Like, oh, he's not vaxxed. What is he doing here? What? How?
Don't worry about it. It was a fake vaccine passport.
Don't worry about it. Pause it. No, for 1 second. You know what's amazing too? It's
like, did he just go up to random people and being like, guys, don't worry, it's fake? Did anybody go up to you and ask you? No, he's assuming this. Like, his story isn't, oh, people turned and they were like, oh my God, it's Dave. Hey, that guy's unvaxxed. That wasn't the story. Like nobody, because if it's true that they were concerned, as Emma just said, as Emma just said, if they were actually concerned that this dude is unvaxxed, then they would have just gone to the freaking staff, right? Like, why would you? They would have just gone to the staff, and the staff would have confronted Dave, which would have made more sense. Like, if he wanted to make his story like actually believable, he would have said like, oh, you know, people started to try to call me out on my vax status, but the staff came up to me and I showed them the fake vaccine card and I got away with it. That sounds way more plausible and way more believable than like, yeah, these group of people recognized me and then they thought to themselves, isn't that guy unvaxxed? To which I then said, don't worry, guys, it's fake. What? Sam has a great theory later on that. Okay, great. We've got like 10 something 10 something minutes.
I didn't want these people to think that I was a liar. And so I went up to him and I said, look, I'm lying about my vaccination status. Like, this guy's, he's so bankrupt ethically and morally.
And spiritually.
But also.
And intellectually. To boot. You can't even, like, it's so simple. Like, if you wanted to make such an outlandish, like, ridiculous story about you going during the height of the pandemic to a bar or to a steakhouse, come on, man. It's not that hard to just be like, yeah, I was... And it would probably even sell better. It would probably even sell better to your group, to your cult. It would probably sell better to the anti-vax cult if you would have said the story like, oh, you know, I was brave and I went out. I wasn't going to stop living my life at the height of the pandemic. So what I did is I went to the steakhouse that I wanted to. And when I was confronted by the staff, I showed them my vax card, but it was fake. At least I think that's a little bit more believable, right? I showed them my fake vax card and I got away with it because I'm not going to listen to these tyrannical Nazi public health measures. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a little bit more believable. Okay, that's like a tad bit more logical and easier to sell and digest to your anti-vax crowd, right? Like, it makes you look like the dude who's like standing up while also like being able to just kind of keep the grift on, going, right? It sounds like a 12-year-old either way. Yeah, of course. Like, you know, I took the time to be a complete and total a-hole while admitting to committing a crime. But at least in that scenario, it kind of maybe sells a little bit more, in my opinion, because like it's not that hard to do that, right? Like, come on. It's not like these anti-vax people have a lot of critical thinking going on, but like, man, to go to this length, it's just laughable at this point.
It's like he has no brain cells. It's amazing how stupid he is as he's like telling these lies. He hasn't even worked it out. Go ahead.
Because I was in there with the passport. So I had to go up. I went up to literally 3 groups of people to be like, guys, don't worry about it. It was a fake vaccine passport. And I was like, what level of insanity is this? Think about it for all the fame that you've had and all the people that have
pause
talked
it
to
one
you
more
at
second,
restaurants
too.
and
I
everything
just
else.
want to imagine, like, let's say you're eating at this restaurant and you get to watch Rubin walk up to 3 different tables and go, hey guys, don't worry, I'm actually not vaccinated, but hey, great, enjoy your meal.
I had one of my guys make a fake card.
Moves over to each table. I just imagine watching that would have been just.
Because
of course it didn't happen though.
Presumably, okay, I could see that this steakhouse is maybe someplace that has more lax rules, right? But we're talking about California, we're talking about LA. I'd imagine that the people that are looking at him and glaring at him aren't like, he's a liar like us. We also are unvaccinated. We're sitting here and like we're glaring at him because he maybe, you know, why would they assume that they were able to get in as unvaccinated people? But
because the first thing that would happen is that they would go and confront, you know, ask the staff to be like, hey, this guy is possibly, you know, going against the rules here. Like, can we check him out? Like, oh my God, this guy's so stupid. So stupid.
he got vaccinated.
No, it doesn't make any
so the
sense.
point is that they were concerned about.
That's what I just said.
No,
yes.
I know, but that doesn't make any sense because then why would he go up to them and say, "Don't worry"?
That's agree,
because he's lying.
It's all exactly. It is all lie. He definitely didn't go up to anybody because you would just think like if that was the case where it was a.
Can we take 5 seconds to just kind of like laugh at like the mini debate that Sam and Emma are having about like where this lie begins and ends? I'm sorry, I'm just getting a kick out of that. I'm getting a kick out of them kind of like trying to figure out and going back and forth and debating on where exactly the lie is coming from. That's funny.
That he's getting caught.
Well, yes. Or you would just assume, okay, they probably have fake cards like I do because that's what we're all doing. If that was the scenario, and who knows? But I'm just
trying to crack this case here.
To be like, guys, don't worry about it. It was a fake vaccine passport. And I was like, what level of insanity is this?
The logic is strong indeed.
Worry about that you've had and all the people that have gawked at you at restaurants and everything else. If for some reason you felt that every now and again you'd have to go up to a table and explain your life to them. And that's literally what I felt as I was leaving. So the reason I'm telling you that story was I fought very hard, very, very hard. I campaigned with Larry Elder to get rid of Newsom, to like whatever we could do to save California. I believed it was worth saving. California has made its choice. It is going down that road. It's sad because it's a huge state that would be, I think, like the 15th largest country in the world, something like that. And it doesn't have to be that way. And there's millions of people that live there that are good, decent people. But the state is going in that direction. Here, it's going in another direction. And I, at the ripe old age of 47 years old, would much rather be part of something that I can build and fight for than something I'm fighting against. So every day when I do my show, it's just like you. I'm fighting for the ideas that I believe in, and I'm
high-level ideas. Maybe he's self-aware after all. What level of insanity was this? Ah, man, it's really hard to tell. Like just where the line is between just him being. I didn't catch where he is now. I think he's in Texas. I don't know if he said it, but I'm thinking he moved to Texas or to Florida. Shoot, I forget. There was a segment on this. I'm pretty sure, and I think he moved to I want to say Florida. I'm leaning towards Florida. Yeah, baby Gilead's. Like, I'm convinced it's probably Miami. Or Florida, I should say. I tried to look it up, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's Florida. I thought it was Texas, but I'm leaning towards Florida.
Fighting against all of the encroaching authoritarianism. But my day-to-day here, like there's little things that I do. I try to meet all my neighbors. Like if I was,
oh God,
yeah.
And I hope that they don't.
Yeah, it's true. In California, it's true that you are not allowed to meet your neighbors. It's not a thing that you can do.
Watch my show.
You know, I used to think that Russell Brand was actually like someone. I mean, we've talked about this, Matt. We both were fans of his before this recent turn. He also spoke quite critically about religion in the past. So his new born again Catholicism thing is a little odd. But even like with all of his like latest turn, unfurling before our very eyes, I still have to think that he's sitting there like, this guy is a freaking idiot.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why Ruben's like, and the reason why I'm telling you this, like, because there's a look in Russell Brand's eye, like, well, why are you telling me this?
That vacant stare, which I think Russell Brand has himself called the narcissist stare.
Exactly. Hey, buddy, you're not allowed to talk for this long.
Russ is like, yeah, I get noticed all the time.
Yep, I found it. He lives in Miami. He literally lives in Miami.
When I go out to eat,
Right.
and I hate it, and I would never go up to them and explain myself. What are you talking about?
I'm an actual celebrity in this situation.
People are already voting in the comments that Emma's 100% right about Dave. So
Well,
you may have been right.
I'll take a
about
minority
that.
position on that.
But my point is just that there are true anti-vax believers. Like, there are guys that I don't doubt had fake vax cards who are in right-wing media. I just do not think Dave is one of them.
In other circumstances, I would like to raise like $100,000 to ask Dave this question.
Well,
and maybe see if there's a way that we could see if he has a vaccine in his blood or something to that effect. I don't know if there's a way to do that.
He said he would debate any leftist.
Oh, well, yeah.
Without exceptions.
Do we have to play this clip? Yeah.
More opportunities for hurricanes.
We
From
got
yesterday. No,
No,
Ruben.
this is we have this. This is number 14. Dave Rubin has issued a challenge to me. He wants to debate me.
Wow, that's good news because you've been trying for a while.
I'm surprised that he would say it like that.
Listen, everybody's surprised about it. He mischaracterizes my position a little bit, but not really, because I don't know what he means by functioning solid. It's a very weird way to describe, anything.
It's not gaseous.
But here is Dave Rubin challenging me and others to a debate.
This is where we're at, guys. Like,
okay,
it's not good. You
Not
get
good.
it? This is not a good day in America, and
This is not a good day in America. If you're a leftist and not Sam Cedar, I would like to debate you.
I would also take a moment to welcome anyone. Find me a Democrat. I'm not talking about your uncle. Find me a decent Democrat with a following who is a Joe Biden supporter who believes this is good. I will do a live debate with any of them.
Now pause it.
Any of them.
Now listen. Before there's anybody who's making any type of, distinction, this and that, I am a registered Democrat, and I am supportive of Joe Biden's re-election campaign, which I imagine is what he's talking about here. So I just want to, make it clear. I think this is a sincere challenge to me.
To
that
qualify
Dave is
so
making.
far.
Yep.
Biden supporter who believes this is good. I will do a live
Yeah, I think that's where I get disqualified.
debate with any of them. Any of them.
Any of them.
That is a promise. Like, I'm not talking about some weirdo with 40 Twitter followers. I'm talking about legit people.
I'm legit. Wait, I'm legit. I checked that box. First, they asked for leftists. Democrats are not leftists. Right. But they can't tell the difference, or they don't want to. Anyways.
For 1 second.
Like, at this point, I think it's pretty freaking clear. They just don't want to. I don't know. They think like liberals and leftists and Democrats are all the same thing.
Can someone check on my Twitter feed? I may be a weirdo, or I may not be. But
255,000.
255,000. All right, let's go forward, please.
I'm not talking about some weirdo with 40 Twitter followers. I'm talking about legit people that believe that Joe Biden is a functioning, solid president, that this is not political persecution, and that this decision made sense, and this is good for America.
Okay, so he's talking about the felony verdict. I would debate. I would debate Dave Rubin on that 100%.
Check off the.
Like, I don't know. I would debate. I would debate Dave Rubin on that.
Those boxes, that shouldn't be that hard to check off.
I've
We're
checked
in
off
that camp.
all those
I will
boxes.
gladly debate any of these people. But this is
I
where
check
we're
off
at,
all
guys.
those
Like,
I check off all those boxes. Dave, I've been trying to tweet at you, but you blocked me some time ago. Do we have an email for Dave? Do I have an email for him?
I should ask somebody. Maybe someone at TYT still has his number. I could try to get a hold of him that way.
Like there was actually, at one point, he did email me when he was saying how upset he was about. Let's see.
But come on, Dave. Let bygones be bygones. We're talking about the fate of the republic here because
Yeah, I gotta
this
look at
Donald
this.
Trump conviction is really horrible for the country, as you've alluded to. So let's put things in the past and have a real debate and exchange of ideas.
100%. 100%.
I mean, there is, if you go to daverubin.com, there is a television contact and a book and impress contact. So people might want to send those folks some.
Let him know I accept. I accept the challenge, Dave. Let's
get the ball rolling.
Let's do this.
Can we revisit one of my favorite clips of Straight Raid, the internet personality asking Dave if he would debate Sam back in October?
Hopefully things have changed. Like debates are
Yeah, you aren't much of a Biden kiss. Kiss butt.
Conversations on your thing. Would you ever debate Sam Cedar?
no, he's a horrible, horrible human being.
No, you wouldn't debate him?
No.
But you're into like open exchange of ideas and stuff, right?
High level ideas, just not those.
No, he's a trash human being.
Why?
No, because he's done like 1,000 videos about me that are all
1,000 videos.
Nonsense. I've never even talked about him. What a boring way to, not boring, what an unfortunate way to have me walk off. No, he's like a really terrible person. I didn't get into the internet to like just endlessly destroy everybody and everything else. I like talking to people that I can have enlightened conversations with. And like
an exchange of high level ideas.
Some people just want endless destruction for.
I think you should give Sam a chance. I think you guys would have a really good conversation.
Yeah. Oh, you're a troll. I knew something was up with you. This
No,
whole
I'm
time.
not. I genuinely think that Sam would have a great conversation.
No. I couldn't quite figure it out with you. But
No. Dude, rent free. Rent free. These people are genuinely scared of Sam Cedar. Respect for this woman, true.
Look, you guys get the.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Do you do like debates?
He was so mad about that.
That's pretty catty.
I don't know who the one guy is who hosts that, but
let me just
line it up, bro.
Yeah, let me just say to Dave, I am destroying the internet.
Wanton destruction.
And Straight Raid happened to ask the same question not 2.5 months ago in March of this year.
He still won't, huh?
Ask Dave if he's changed his mind on whether or not he'd debate Sam Cedar. Have you changed your mind?
You're such a loser.
Okay, so you're still going to dodge Sam Cedar?
Man, instead of being like, no, I just don't want to debate him. I don't want to talk to Sam. No, just straight up calling this this woman a loser.
She is, or they both are.
No, they both are. But
okay.
No, because I asked him on the Whatever podcast if he'd debate Sam Cedar, and he said no. So I was just asking if he'd changed his mind on that. Ask Dave.
Whoops.
I think Whatever would be a great host of the debate.
Who would be a great debate?
That Whatever show. Get you and Ruben.
Yeah. What is that Whatever show? Is that a PBBD?
I don't
show?
think so.
It's independent.
I think it's just Florida.
A lot of stuff happening down in Florida. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
A Democrat is to a leftist as a Twinkie is to a genuine slice of New York cheesecake. That is one analogy, I suppose. Listen, if Dave Rubin wants to have a conversation about the felony, the 34 felony counts, that's fine. But yeah, he's not going to talk to any actual like left-leaning person who could embarrass him. He's not going to talk to anybody, much less like Sam Seder. Deathly afraid. Byron Donalds, a Florida representative, expresses nostalgia to for the Jim Crow era when the black family was together. A known thing that happened during Jim Crow. Representative Donalds was on the defensive on Wednesday, yesterday, as Democrats attacked him for comments he made on the night before praising black families under the era of racial segregation in America. Quote, during Jim Crow, the black family was together, Donald said during a black GOP outreach event in gentrifying part of Philadelphia on Tuesday, and criticized decades-old policies from former presidents Eisenhower and Lyndon Johnson for promoting a culture of independence and signing the Civil Rights Act. Anyways, quote, during Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative because black people always have been conservative-minded, question mark? Citation needed, but more black people voted conservatively. Their remarks prompted a blitz of attacks from Biden allies, including the top House Democrat on Wednesday. Quote, it has come to my attention that a so-called leader has made the factually inaccurate statement that black folks are better off during Jim Crow, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said in remarks on the House floor. Listing other aspects of that era, from lynching to the suppression of the black vote. How dare you make such ignorant observation? You better check yourself before you wreck yourself. In a response video posted on X, Donald said the Biden campaign was gaslighting voters and that Jeffries was misrepresenting him. Yeah.
They're gaslighting. Now that America, Joe Biden's campaign is lying to you once again, and they're gaslighting. Now they're trying to say that I said black people were doing better under Jim Crow. I never said that. They are lying. But why would you be surprised? Because they always lie. This is the same Joe Biden that said, if you don't vote for him, then you ain't black. The man is a liar. Sorry, just call it what it is. What I said is that you had more black families under Jim Crow. And it was the Democrat policies under HEW, under the welfare state, that did help to destroy the black family. That's what I said.
The implication being that black families were better off during Jim Crow, dude. How is this better? This isn't making your case. Mayhem hippie, happy, but hey. I mean, late, but hey. Dude, yeah.
And I also said...
We were together, but we were strange fruit and trees. That is incredibly dark, but unfortunately a thing that was way too common.
Seeing a reinvigoration of black families today in America, and that is a good thing. So don't listen to the lies from the Biden administration. I know what I said, and I'll say it straight to camera. They got to run to the Philadelphia Inquirer to move their lies. Joe Biden does not care about black people. He never has. He cares about power, first, second, and third. They can go somewhere with all that. See ya.
Mr. Speaker, it has come to my attention that a so-called leader has made the factually inaccurate
this is a Jim Crow thing.
Statement that black folks were better off during Jim Crow. That's an outlandish, outrageous, and out-of-pocket observation. We were not better off when a young boy named Emmett Till could be brutally murdered without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off when black women could be sexually assaulted without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off when people could be systematically lynched without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off when children could be denied a high-quality education without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off when people could be denied the right to vote without consequence because of Jim Crow. How dare you make such an ignorant observation? You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, unfortunately, the people in Florida, yeah. Their remarks, first reported by the Philadelphia Inquirer, also touched on gender roles in the home. There's a difference between men and women anyway. Men have been created by God to be conquerors, to be hunters, he said. Byron Donalds. A black man in today's America is looking around saying, how can I go hunt for my people and hunt for my family? What? One person in a crowd mostly made up of self-identified black Republicans shouted, bingo! The Biden campaign signaled they believe Trump overtures to black voters will be undermined by messaging missteps. Donald Trump spent his adult life and then presidency undermining the progress black communities fought so hard for, so it actually tracks that his campaign's black outreach is going to a white neighborhood and promising to take America back to Jim Crow, said Biden-Harris spokesperson Serafina Chitika in a statement. At the black voter outreach on Tuesday, Donalds appeared at the event alongside Representative Wesley Hunt and former NBC Sports broadcaster Michelle Tafoya. Quote, it is a thing that scares me is that they convince people that they're not strong enough to do it on their own, said Tafoya, pausing a beat before continuing. You got to suckle from the government teat and then you are attached for life. True, that's how that works, man. As does Trump. And one woman in the front of the audience has said, Democrats have tricked us into getting rid of our men. True. Very true. Quote, we need our men back, said Rosalind Ross Williams, who works with the anti-tax group Americans for Prosperity. Should look into that. Many of us have bought the lies. Trump and his surrogates are making a push on black voter outreach as polling suggests larger shares of black voters are winnable for the GOP this cycle. A recent New York Times, Siena College, and Philadelphia Inquirer poll of 5 key swing states found that more than 20% of black voters in swing states are open to voting for the presumptive Republican nominee in the fall. Donalds also said black women may be turned off by Democrats' positions on transgender policies. Black women are looking at their sons and saying, now wait a minute, you're telling me that my young son can become a girl? Nope. Fascinating. Man. Wonderful, wonderful stuff coming out of the GOP, huh? Trump said he would have every right to go after political enemies if he is elected. Former President Trump said during an interview with Fox News on Wednesday yesterday that he'd had every right to go after his political opponents if he is elected in November. Man, things are looking just phenomenal, huh? Hey, real quick, can we go back to that poll? That's not how that works here, exactly. But can we just zoom in on this for a second? Can we just take a snapshot? Okay, take a snapshot with our minds here, right? Right, of how this election is looking at. Of how this election is looking at it in the terms of aggregate polling, right? Again, for context, this is the 2020 election. Like, I need people to understand, like, what's happening here. So this is the 2020 election, and this versus how it looks now. Now, with that We still have that picture in our heads, right? It's the second time in as many as days that the presumptive GOP presidential nominee has publicly suggested that he would seek retribution against his political enemies. The former president and his allies have ramped up their retribution rhetoric since Trump was convicted of 34 felony charges in the New York criminal trial last week. Quote, when this election is over, based on what they've done, I would have every right to go after them, said Trump when asked if he would use the justice system to go after his enemies when he spoke his pillow talk to Sean Hannity. Does that mean Trump's rivals can go after him? No, because that's persecution. You see how that works? You see, when I go after my political opponents, that's just. But if political opponents go after me, then I'm the victim. You see how that works? Genius, isn't it? Phenomenal. If I go after my political opponents, it's just retribution and it's my duty. But if political opponents go after me in return, then I'm the victim of some kind of witch hunt, or whatever you want to call it. Insert whatever lingo, whatever. Insert whatever terminology you want here. Political witch hunt, persecution. This is going to sound crass, but we need a CIA JFK moment here. It's going to be irrelevant with all that McDonald's. Trump said that the suggestion that he would go after his political allies if he Trump said that the suggestion that he would go after his political allies if he wins in November is wrong and it has to stop. During a separate interview with Newsmax, Trump said earlier this week, it's a terrible, terrible path that they're leading us to, and it's very possible that it's going to have to happen to them, seeming to reference his political opponents. Trump, indicted in all 4 criminal cases, has suggested that he would install a special prosecutor to investigate Biden and his family. The Biden crime family. Top Trump allies are pushing to prosecute and even possibly imprison Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, who brought the Trump charges in New York. Axios' Mike Allen and Jim Van High report. So, that's cool. I think that's the end because it seems like it just repeated itself. Let me see. Less than a week after he was found guilty in Manhattan. Does that mean the next president does it to them? That's really the question. Trump was pleaded not guilty to all charges. In New York, repeatedly derided his hush money case as politically motivated. Trump has made retribution for his political opponents a central part of his presidential campaign, including suggesting that he could install a special prosecutor, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I think that's about it. So he's openly admitting to political witch hunts and persecution. I feel like this is a crime, but what could I know, right? Yeah, like the weapon, like he's complaining. I don't know, like to what degree. Again, I need people to understand. Like, look, this is the reality of how things could possibly look. So I'm gonna leave that up there for a second. For all the hemming and hawing about how he's the victim of political witch hunts and persecution, he's the one that's actually willing, or at least rhetorically, is calling for the very same thing. Like, while pretending that it's happening to him when it's not. The dude just did crimes and he got found guilty. That's what happened. That's literally what happened. Okay? There were years-long investigation. Evidence was gathered before a grand jury. The grand jury indicted him. A trial was set up. A trial was then conducted. And a jury of his peers found him guilty on all counts. That's what happened. Hey, it's Four Horses. Welcome, JJ. We're chilling. This is not political persecution. Joe Biden isn't out there trying to lock up Trump. We don't even know if he's going to even see the inside of a jail cell, to be honest. Probably not. And he's pretending like he's the biggest victim on planet Earth. Have you been following the Israel-Palestine thing? You mean genocide? It's not just a thing. I don't have to think about it. What's your take? It's very simple. It's genocide. The take is that the Israeli government is doing a genocide. Okay. It's not really that gray. There isn't really that much of a gray area. Like it's kind of a little bit suspicious that I mean, unless you've been under a rock, it's very simple. The Israeli government is clearly intending and carrying out a genocide. Netanyahu and his government are intent on the complete and utter destruction of Gaza and the people of Palestine. That's it. There are people on both sides. It's complicated. It's not. It's really not. It's not complicated. It's not complicated at all. Like, it's actually very, 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 like, morally, to suss out what's happening, it's not complicated at all. If you were to hear to the news and you didn't even know what the countries were, you didn't know anything else, but you heard, like, the news and you saw stories of, like, tens of thousands of civilians dying, clearly one party is doing the thing, right? There isn't both sides to this. There really isn't. There isn't a both sides to this at all. It's pretty unequivocally, like, this is about as clear as it gets. They literally just bombed a university yesterday. They literally just bombed the university. I just heard about those tunnels. What? Who cares? What are you talking about? They literally just bombed the university where 30 people died. You want to guess? You want to guess how many of those 30 people were women and children? 23 of them. So no, I don't care. This is very, very, very simple and very black and white. The Israeli government is in the wrong here. The Israeli government is the one committing genocide. Why can't I hear a second opinion? This isn't opinions, dude. It's very simple. Besides, nobody's preventing you from listening to other opinions. I'm just saying it's very simple. If you want to side, if you want to dilute the gravity of the situation, that's on you. Anyways, Yeah, I feel like that's a troll trying to try to derail the stream. We're almost done, folks. Billionaires in Silicon Valley are just opening to Trump. It's not just because of taxes. Donald Trump is set for a major stop in the 2024 money race on Thursday. Can we just take a second to absorb that that quote? We're talking about an election. Just to be very clear, just to be very clear, we're talking about a presidential election. So yeah, that's cool. That's normal. Jam is here. Thank you for the follow. Donald Trump is set for a major stop in the 2024 money race on Thursday when he travels to Silicon Valley for a high-profile fundraiser co-hosted by investor David Sachs and venture capitalist, not even going to try to pronounce it, Chamath Palihapitiya. This is just the latest indicator of the ex-president's success in traditionally deep blue Silicon Valley, meaning like courting incredibly wealthy oligarchs. The San Francisco Bay Area is shifting towards Trump, said Elon Musk. But experts who have studied the role of billionaires in politics over recent decades said it shouldn't be a shock. Wow, no way. The Valley has been pivoting for a while, noted Northwestern University political scientist Jason Seawright in a recent interview. It isn't unusual for a group of people who have become affluent to align towards the party that defends wealth. Yeah, exactly. Said Seawright, who co-authored a book on billionaire and politics. This tech industry pivot is part of a larger embrace of Trump by billionaires and CEOs that have fallen into some similar historical patterns. Some similar, familiar historical patterns. Let's say about early 1920s Europe, Germany. Something like that. But what do I know? Billionaires, this go around their predecessors in years past, seem to prioritize economic concerns as well as access to power as top reasons for their support. Duh. But other historical patterns have been broken. This current class of vocal billionaires led by Musk is more likely than their predecessors, experts say, to focus on social issues that are not directly related to their bottom line. Trump will continue the charm offensive next week when he will participate in a moderated discussion at Business Roundtable's quarterly meeting of CEOs on June 13th. Thursday's highly anticipated fundraiser is being hosted by Sachs and two billionaires who have been associated with the biggest names in tech for decades. We talked about their discussions to help Trump on a recent episode of their podcast in which they mix financial and social topics with a clear interest in having the ear of the former president to discuss policy. Sachs and Palihapitiya are just two examples of billionaires who are weighing in, with other Trump-friendly billionaires taking different approaches and focusing on different issues. President Biden is also relying on his own wealthy donors. Cool. Earlier this week, Biden traveled to Greenwich, Connecticut to raise money at an event hosted by former HBO CEO Richard Plepper. Biden told the crowd that his rival is selling his presidency to the higher bidder in Mar-a-Lago. So instead, my pitch is sell it to me instead? ? Aren't you doing the same? Okay. As for this week's Trump host, Palihapitiya described himself during the recent podcast as a apolitical person. Nah. Sorry, I don't buy it. That's nonsense. Claiming that his larger goal here is to be an organizing principle that can help guide the 2024 political conversation instead of the mainstream media. Right. Palihapitiya also described Trump's plan on things like cryptocurrency in positive terms and called it one of many issues that we have a chance to really double click on. Trump has promised, in other words, I want to be able to fill my pockets better. That's what we're clicking on here. Greenwich. Oh, Greenwich. Gotcha. Welcome, Carpe. Trump has promised to loosen regulations on digital currencies. There we are. A sector Palihapitiya has long touted. He suggested this week that governments should perhaps hold digital assets. Particularly the ones that I'm invested in. Sachs, meanwhile, has been outspoken Trump evangelist in the recent months. He calls Trump the once and future president and hopes this week's event will lead to a new wave of support in Silicon Valley. Both men downplayed the recent Trump conviction and said the former president had promised to appear on their podcast, which the two men co-host with investor Jason Kalaknis and David Friedberg. Those investors say they're not donating or attending Thursday's events. Sachs and Polyopta said that they've tried to reach out to Biden, but so far have not had any success. The duo has previously offered support and podcast airtime to figures like RFK Jr. and Vivek Ramaswamy. Cool. Donald Trump appears to have made clear inroads with these high-profile supporters by convincing them that he would be friendly to them and their bottom lines. Yeah, once and future king. His pitch to billionaires around the country is focused on issues like taxes and business deregulation, especially in the energy sector. Trump is promising less of both. Exactly. He offered the oil industry goodies if they gave him $1 billion for his campaign. So, that's cool. The former president has combined these billionaire dollars, which have been flowing ever since he clinched the GOP nomination, with the surge in grassroots support, i.e. the fleecing of the cult, in the last week following his conviction for falsifying business records. It's been a potent 1-2 punch that took in nearly $300 million in May, according to the campaign, which will now go to legal defenses and appears to have allowed him to significantly close a fundraising gap with Joe Biden. He talks the language of billionaires, which is less taxes and less regulation, because he's an oligarch or was an oligarch himself. Said Daryl West, a political scientist and senior fellow at the Brookings Institution, he knows what buttons to push in order to get their support. And West pointed another factor at play here. Billionaires want access, of course. And all Trump's charms offensive clearly paid dividends. The New York Times reported this week that Thursday's Silicon Valley event is sold out, with the attendees set to pay between $50,000 and $500,000 for tickets. Cool. Professor Seawright said he has found out that in the past, billionaires almost across the board are almost totally uninvolved in social issues. That is clearly not the case this time. Musk is the most prominent example of a business leader who has proven willing to weigh in on pretty much everything, because that's just his nature, and he bought one of the biggest megaphones for himself. So, yeah. The billionaire has also grown increasingly aligned with Trump in recent months, though he has yet to publicly open his wallet for the former president. Musk is also notable for taking the social stance that some note could be against his economic self-interest. Maybe? He's broadly supportive of Trump, and even as the foreign president promises to remove government assistance for electric vehicles. Musk has also taken a strong anti-immigration stance that is at odds with how business leaders often approach the issue and focus on the economic benefits that come with the increases to the labor force that they can then exploit. Seawright noted that one of his previous studies looked at the political actions of the 100 wealthiest billionaires, and when it comes to Musk, we've never found another person who behaves in a similar way. And Musk is far from the only one willing to weigh in on topics seemingly beyond their bottom lines. Blackstone CEO Steven Schwarzman is a longtime GOP mega donor and cited the dramatic rise of anti-Semitism as a reason for his decision to support Trump. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Remind me again which party the Nazis are going to vote for. Yeah. Indeed, the podcast in which Sachs and Pally discussed their support of Trump, it was an encapsulation of many varied concerns at play here. The nearly 2-hour conversation spent considerable time on what many consider right-wing talking points, such as the deep state, and recent congressional testimony from Fauci, the former director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. At one point, Sachs accused Fauci of a crime. What crime? We don't know. It also touched on the political dimensions of financial topics, from artificial intelligence to the national debt to crypto. As Professor Seawright noted, the balance among these things is much more complicated than it is for people who have less complicated financial lives. Yeah, so no surprise, billionaires are going to back the candidate that they feel will protect their interests the most, and they will back the candidate that will provide them with access. So cool. Hey, that's a very normal and democratic system we got going on, huh? Like, we're literally reading an article about how, like, literally billionaires are swinging their incredibly ungodly amount of wealth to gain access and to gain and curry favor to political candidates, and everyone in the country just like it's just like, yep, that's just the way it is. People literally earn PhD to know about these things. Just because you're filthy rich doesn't mean you understand. Yep. I just find it fascinating how we're just like reading articles like, yeah, the rich, the ungodly rich people, like the unnecessarily rich people, like billionaires, are literally just casually buying politicians. It's not a secret. We're just watching it happen in real time. I'm so tired of being poor. We had to take in another tenant into our home to give us wiggle room for things like our cars breaking down. Sheesh. That's rough. And meanwhile, we're literally reading like articles about how like uber wealthy people are just like casually just buying, tens of thousands of dollars for tickets just so that they can get access to a candidate. Cool. A very normal and very, 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 very democratic system we have going on. They don't need to sneak around. It's 100% legal. Happy 420. Just to be able to afford things like cars and glasses, my kids' glasses got run over by the lawnmower. Sheesh. That's true. I'm just pointing out the absurdity of it, cognizant. I guess that's ultimately what I'm trying to bring attention to. Like, it's just so absurd. Not only is it legal, there's nothing we can do to fight it, really. Well, it would require everyone to be on the same page, and how do I put this? It would require for everyone to be on the same page and decided to watch a lot of French protest videos. Yeah. That's where I'll leave it. So when pigs fly all the time. They take airplanes, you know. Yeah, it would look like a general strike. Something, yeah, there you go. Now we're talking. Private jet piggies. When doves cry, there you go. Okay, that's better. I like that one. Anyways, once again, I would like to point you to this poll again, to this aggregate of where things are. And again, just for effect, this is the 2020 election. But yeah, cool. Everything's fine. Everything's normal. Nothing to see here, folks. Just the slow and steady ratchet towards fascism, huh? I feel like with every passing like small moment, you can just hear the click. Can we just throw the poll and both parties in the bin? Well, I agree with the parties. The poll is just data, and it is what it is. The polls are just that particular graph that I showed is an aggregate of a bunch of polls put together and just to kind of illustrate the trend. That's just data. I can't help that. But I do agree that both parties do belong in the bin. We won't need the poll anymore, I suppose so, if that happened. It's Jover. It's going to take about 2 generations after Trump's passing to start to clean this up. Maybe. Maybe. Electoralism goes here. To the trash. All right, folks, I do got to get going. It is about that time. Folks, if you enjoy the content, don't forget, hit the follow button. It really does help us out. Keep liking the stream. Keep subscribing to the awesome stuff on the YouTubes. I see you. Thank you. To be fair, people said the same thing of Reagan, and we're still fighting that. That's exactly what I was thinking, actually. That's exactly what I was thinking, actually. This goes beyond Trump, though. Trump is just highlighting the quiet privilege they always had. It'll be more than 2 generations if there's no revolution. Which, again, it would require everybody to be on the same page about the same thing. And, yeah. Ladies all, thank you. ADT as always. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate that, Mayhem Hippie. Thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate it. Educate, agitate, and organize. That's right. Thank you all for joining. Yeah, start. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess keyword would be start, if that. Yeah, operative word, start. Folks, thank you all for supporting the channel. There are many different ways you could do so. Keep liking the stream, keep subscribing, all the awesome stuff. Consider checking out the merch store. Lots of stuff happening behind the scenes. Join the Discord, folks. Join the Discord, !Discord. Please consider following Globus the Elder. And please consider following Carpet Packs in the chat. Thank you all for stopping by. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Spread It Forward, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. Folks, it's time for me to go get some dinner. I appreciate all of you. Please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one Monday. It is the weekend already, basically. Thank you all. See ya. Come on.
I reached my destination and I found it hard on me that I wasn't really anywhere, said no one left to be. That train that I was on was all I shine and see. Don't believe it if you please.
Really? Hold on, folks. Sorry, it's... Yeah. Alright, there we go. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.